Welcome to the Past the 65 DVD materials. What we'd like to do right now is show you what you can expect from the slides of this product. As you can see right away, we are not going to simply point a camcorder at an instructor or try to record a live class. What we've done instead is pick out those concepts that benefit the most from an audio-visual presentation in which we can use animation, photographs, video clips, etc., etc. We will be talking about economic policy, and we'll talk both about fiscal and monetary policy. Remember that monetary policy is enacted by the Federal Reserve Board, or the FOMC they might call it. When we talk about fiscal policy, now we're talking about Congress and the President. If Congress and the President, through fiscal policy, if they want to stimulate the economy, what they can do is cut taxes. How will that help? Well, the money that was going to be sent to Washington can now be spent by consumers who can go to the retail stores and buy more goods. Those goods have to be then produced by manufacturers who can buy more equipment, hire more people, send them home with more money, and they can spend that money at retail stores as well. So remember that consumer spending equals about 2/3 of our economy. If we can help consumers spend more money by cutting taxes, that would definitely provide some stimulus to an economy that needs help. We will also take apart practice questions, and I'll give you a couple of seconds here to look through this one. Be careful though, there could be a trick. Which of the following represent or represents taxable withdrawals from a traditional IRA? This is called a multiple. Is it just 3, 1 and 3, none of these, all of these? Well, if we're talking about traditional IRAs, you remember that the money goes in pre-tax and it comes out taxable at your ordinary income rate. There are also some cases where you can be penalized. We see here a first-time purchase of a primary residence up to $10,000, and there's no penalty there. Withdrawals pursuant to disability, also no penalty. Here, if we take the money out before age 59 and a half, if we don't have a qualifying excuse, there would be a penalty. But if you're a careful test taker, you've seen that I'm trying to mislead you. We're not talking about penalties up here. You got to read the question very carefully. Out of a traditional IRA, the money coming out is always taxable at your ordinary income rate. Don't rewrite the question to talk about penalties, which is not what we're talking about here. This, and this would all be taxable. Now, don't write your own Series 65 question. Yes, there's a difference between this choice and these. Here, no penalty, no penalty. Here, there'd be a penalty. But in all three cases, the money coming out is taxable. So we're going to help prepare you for such tricky potential questions on the Series 65. In fact, one of the lessons in this material is just looking at 20 possible exam questions in extreme detail. We think you'll agree that that's one of the more effective lessons in the whole set. Finally, one last screen. When we talk about capitalization, we mean that companies can take in money from investors by selling them equity securities, which provide ownership, or in this case, the company can offer debt securities. Investors are not buying a percentage of the company when they buy a debt security. What they're doing is basically providing a loan of capital or cash to Frank and Emma's Fruit Pies. In exchange for providing the capital, they receive these bond certificates. Why would they want that? Because a bond certificate has a stated rate of return. In my example here, we're using a 4% interest rate, which means that if you buy this bond from Frank and Emma's, every year you're going to receive 4 cents on the dollar. Each bond has par value of $1,000. You're going to get $40 a year. If it's a 10-year bond, at the very end you'll get your final interest payment, and you'll also receive the par value back, which would be $1,000. Now, you may also want to see what we have available in terms of other products, and if you go to our website, pastthe65.com, as you can see, we're talking to you in a whole new language called English. A lot of people have materials that were provided by the firm, but they still would like to see what it looks like in plain English, so they purchase the full book. Or maybe you spend hours in commute, so you purchase the audio CDs, which are different from the DVD. Remember, the DVD has video. This is something that you would listen to, the audio CDs. Or maybe you have materials that you're happy with, but you'd like to see some extra questions. You could check out this link under exams. If you bought the book through a bookstore or Amazon, you could click on Updates. And if we have to add any new information, that's where we would do so. We also fairly often put up new practice questions that you could find and download as a PDF. Speaking of other free stuff, you can join our Friday free broadcasts, and you can see that 11 o'clock We have Series 7 broadcasting, which often also relates to the 65. More importantly, at noon Central every Friday, that it's possible to do, which is pretty much every Friday. At noon Central, we have a Series 65 broadcast. And if you click on this, you'll see the schedule. You'll be able to register for the free event. Well, we want to keep the introduction nice and short. I want to give you an idea of what you can expect. So please enjoy the product that you're about to experience, and if you have any questions, give us a call or send us an email.